Welcome to Navigate STL Schools, a podcast. My name is Anastasia Allen. I'm the executive director with Navigate STL Schools. I'm here today with Steward Stiles.
Yeah.
Steward Stiles is the recruiting director.
I'm the associate director of student recruitment and family partnership for St. Louis Voices Academy of Media Arts.
Awesome. So before we learn about what all of that means, tell us your personal K-12 education story. Where'd you go to school? How'd you come into this work?
Okay, so of course we're in St. Louis. So I went to Hazelwood West High School. Go Wildcats, class of 09. Now, when we come to our educational journey, graduated from Webster University. Excuse me, I had a lime soda. It was really good, so I had a for a second. But I had got my master's from Grand Canyon University. But my educational journey started really in college when I was teaching choral music, being the assistant director for the concert choir there at Webster University. And then also it was going into kind of outside of the school. So I was also a session leader for St. Louis Symphony in Unison Chorus. So that's where I got my love for teaching music. I'm a music teacher by trade. So some people don't know that. So some people know my current work as a recruiter, but when I was teaching, I was a music teacher. So I was teaching there for 5 years, did a year in St. Louis public schools, and then the majority of my years in teaching experience was in charter spaces.
Awesome. So what is recruiting, first off? Like what I didn't know that. Well, I did, but like a lot of people don't know that elementary and middle schools are recruiting. What is recruiting?
All right, so here's the rub. When it comes to public schools, of course, most public schools have automatic placements of parents and families.
And so when we're saying that, we're talking about traditional public
schools, like St. Louis public schools, St. Charles public schools, Hazelwood public schools, so all the public schools per se that's within the community that you know about by default. And when I say by default, I'm just saying
these would be your district or municipalities. Yeah.
Yes. And they get automatic placement because those schools, you roll there because you live in that neighborhood and all that. With charter schools and even private schools, we're schools of choice. What does that mean? That means that the parents literally have to choose us in order for them to be a part. They have to apply. And so in the inverse of that, we have to really be attractive to these families to let them know that, hey, we are a viable choice for your educational needs and purposes for your family. So we have recruitment opportunities for staff to go out and recruit and connect with families and let them know, pretty much sell the school in order for families to feel invested and be a part.
For families to feel invested and be a part. So we would call that finding the right fit. What does fit mean? How does a family know if they feel invested or a part of a school community?
Well, one, I think it does start from beginning to end. I have seen, and then this is public, charter, private, this is across the board. I've seen families that pull their children out simply because the parents themselves do not feel welcome. So let me start from top down. The right fit is that parents feel welcome, parents feel invested. Parents really want to be ingrained in the school community, which they should. They're a major stakeholder in the school community. So parent investment and parent placement let them feel as though, let them have a place in the school community. Not only that, the parents definitely want, outside of course, your academic basics. What do I mean by that? That means they're getting the old school reading, writing, arithmetic.
Reading, writing, arithmetic.
The 3 R's. Reading, writing, arithmetic. But of course, we know that the children are going to be taught, the structures of academic success, right? But what are the bells and whistles is what I call them. Like, prime example with my school, we're a media arts school. So outside of them learning, math, science, literacy, social studies, and all of that, they're going to be learning media niches. So that means what we're doing right now, we have a podcast room. Right?
Oh, wow. For elementary school.
It starts at kindergarten. We have a podcast room. Yeah. And it's with
little
gold mic. You got to see it.
Podcast.
Yeah. you can be a guest. Yeah.
I would love to be interviewed by a kindergartner.
Yes. It'll be amazing. So we're starting that. And then we're also doing film camp over the summer. So we partner with Film Camp USA. So they learn the rudiments of film and filmmaking. They understand musical genres, understand the radio basics. Even radio personalities come and visit with the children, talk with the children. Tony Scott comes all the time, and so shout out to Tony Scott. And so I think that finding a niche or finding something that will interest a child beyond just the educational standards is what parents are looking for as well, and finding the right fit.
Okay, so you gave me a little rundown. Before we get into the rest of the questions, talk about Voices Academy. Like, that is amazing, integrating that level of media in for elementary students. What are the pros and cons of that? And tell us a little bit about Voices Academy as a whole.
Yeah. So it is a new school. Dr. Holly Russell West is our executive director and founder. Shout out to her. She is a product of SLPS, St. Louis Public Schools. So she came out of St. Louis Public Schools and wanted to create a charter school, create even a school just to be service to not only just the city as a whole, but specifically North Side kids. Mm-hmm. That's a deeper conversation in and of itself. But she wanted to make sure that she had a lot of resources for North Side families. And when she was creating the school, media arts was nowhere to be found in the original charter. Mm-hmm. People don't know that. And so when she was doing different focus groups and when she was connecting with them, she realized and heard the feedback of the families and realized that they wanted something media arts like. So literally the school is literally a response to what the community was asking for. So that's a pro, right? Mm-hmm. Are there any cons? You're not a part of it. That's the con. You need to apply. K through 2. See, I'm a recruiter. You can't just ask.
I love the segue.
And then of course, with being a startup school, we're K through 5 and K through 5 growing, right? Mm-hmm. So with each new school year, we add a grade, and so that's like the growth model. That's a lot of schools, new schools, or even charter schools mostly use that model. And it's it's really a sustainability model. So I would say the con is because we have such a attraction for new families to come in who are part of, let's say, because right now we're enrolling K through 2, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Mm-hmm. Families are coming in and they want to be a part of it and all of that. So I say the con is the fact that because we're in a growing stage, we don't have the capacity at this point to really accommodate all grades, but each grade we grow. And so that leaves some families outside of that kind of age band for them to be a part of it in future years, mm-hmm. unless something substantial happens and we just jump up a couple of years, right? But I think that's the only con.
Okay. What is your personal approach to school recruitment and why?
My personal approach to school recruitment is to actually be a person, mm-hmm. right? What comes from the heart reaches the heart. And I literally have to ask myself, do I want my child to be in this school? That's number one. And 2, am I being the right fit, like we were just talking about, for this family? There are many times where I've recruited and I know in my mind that this may not be the perfect fit for them. Not because the school isn't good, not because the child isn't smart, but what the parent wants or is looking for may not be what we have to offer. Not every school is for everybody. Mm-hmm. So we have to have that kind of conversation and have that maturity to understand that, hey, this may not be the best fit. But when it comes to my recruiting, I'm always person to person, heart to heart. And just be nice. Have the conversation. Every time I meet somebody, they're my cousins for that moment, So that's what it is.
What challenges have you encountered in this work? What's something unexpected that you've encountered in doing this work?
Okay, something unexpected. All right, now in the work as a whole,
recruiting work, not just with Voices.
Yeah, I was about to say in the work as a whole, because I was going to say specifically Voices, but no, with the work as a whole, I would say families. Well, one, families are leaving the city, mm-hmm. which makes it hard for us to really reach out to families that would possibly need this school or need the school. Most of them are moving to the counties, and there are some county families that are even reaching out to our schools in the city. But unfortunately, here's a challenge. Missouri legislature really limits us from reaching out and servicing people outside of the city who I know would possibly really, really, really need this service. But because of certain restrictive legislations, we can't even service families outside of the city of St. Louis, which I feel is a detriment to those families. And I'm not saying that, hey, leave the county, move to the city. What I'm saying is that we need to have creative ways in order for us to reach these families and make sure that they're educated in the proper way or in the ways that they want to be educated.
We don't really use the term school choice with Navigate STL School. It's super political, but the reality is that families have been practicing choice in where they send their children to school for years because of how schools are funded in St. Louis. So if a family does not like the choices that exist in the city, they can move to the county. And if they're in the county and they've purchased their forever home and they don't like the school that they are zoned to, then they can choose to go to private school. And I think that what we have found, especially in our partnership with YWCA, is that sometimes families move to outer districts of the city thinking that they're going to encounter a better education or more affordable rent rates or what have you. And what they find is that it's really difficult for their children, particularly children of color, to thrive in some of those other districts. And maybe the family doesn't want to move back to the city, but there are options for them to explore other educational options that are limited by the way that we have education set up here. And I do think that there could be some benefit to allowing some sort of
like bridge or connection so
that families can really connect with environments that are going to set their children up for success. Like I think of you guys, you talk about Voices Academy and everything, but there are so many youth and children influencers that could benefit from learning about ethical media in 2024 that could benefit from learning about ethical media practices, how to consume media, how to become creators of content versus consumers of content, and how to incorporate what they're learning into a classroom into a platform or a way to use their voice to help other kids their age learn that. I think about that when I think about the work that I've seen come out of Voices and some of the students and ways that you've been able to market your program.
And even in beyond that, like I said, we talked before, I'm going to touch on what you just said. Firstly, when you're talking about ethical media, and one of our pillars is real world inquiry. We really have to understand that when we're doing things such as podcasts, what we're doing right now, we have to understand that we have to bring the real world in these lenses, because this, for all intents and purposes, is an alternate reality. This is another reality, and it's unfortunate that this reality through this camera and what they see out on the streets are two different things, but it's crazy that they'll believe this before they believe what they see in front of their faces. And so we have to really combat that, and that's the work that we're doing in Voices. And then also, school choice is a norm for certain families with resources, all right? And I'm just being very blunt. And so school choice is not a problem when you have families that are paying for the schools, or we have certain people who hit a certain tax bracket and they have school choice and they're going to put their child everywhere else. It is only weaponized when our middle and low class families are offered this choice. And I don't know where the weaponization is coming from. I don't know who is steering this conversation as though it is a negative, but we are bringing benefits of affluential families that have benefited from this for years now, and now we're bringing it and making it more equitable and accessible to all families. And now it's a problem. So I think we need to take a step back and really reassess, are we here for the betterment of our communities, our family, and children, or are we here to protect our own political interest?
That's a very real question. What are we here for? What are we here for?
I'm here because you invited me.
I don't have any political interests, so I would say that I'm here for the kids. And yes, I did invite Steward because I believe that he is also here.
Because we knew it was going to have a time.
Okay, so we've talked
Yeah.
about like these political challenges
Yeah.
and the idea of this big bad dirty word of school choice and even potentially charter schools in
Yeah.
some circles.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is one of the greatest challenges facing the education system in St. Louis City?
I would say, this is from someone who has worked in SLPS. So I'm not someone who is just from the outside looking in. I've been in there. I've worked there. I've enjoyed my time there. There needs to be a real assessment of how we allocate funding throughout certain school districts and throughout certain schools, right? There needs to be a reassessment and a reinvestment in our teachers and staff, because there is a massive shortage of teachers, qualified teachers. And there are some professionals that are looking to be in the teacher space, but we have to create a proper lane for not only for them to not only be properly trained, but certified. So I think that huge systems that we've decided not to touch because, again, it benefited other people's personal interests, it really has to be reassessed because it's really hurting the families as a whole. Like the families are not benefiting from it. Do you know, parents, that your child is worth $12,000 to $14,000 a year? I'm gonna say it again. Your child we're going there. Your child a year is worth $12,000 to $14,000. You are literally putting at least 12 to 14 and don't have multiple kids. So you really putting in money into this state. That's how these schools, public schools, even my school, is funded. You are investing your most precious treasure. On top of that, the state is paying them tens of thousands of dollars for that child to be in that school. And if you don't get up and speak and defend your rights as a parent and invest in your time and treasure and speak to these schools that my child is not being educated. My child is still reading at a second grade level and he's in the 5th grade. My child cannot complete a proper math story. My child's achievement gap is not being met. Your child is being used and siphoned of money in some of these public, charter, private schools. And you have a voice to defend your child, to defend the education of your child, and to make sure that they get a quality education. If not, you pull your child and they pull the money. So that's how you get a better education. Defend your child's mind, defend your child's education, and get them a better place to be. Sorry.
No, I appreciate that because that leads into my next question. How does a parent understand their rights in the school community? How does a parent meet with the recruiter and ask the right questions? Like, this is in our work something that's new, teaching parents that their voice matters in this system, that they have an opinion about their child's education, that they should be advocating for with their teachers and administrators and building level staff for their kids. But as a recruiter, what advice do you have for parents? Because you said that there are some parents who pull their kids out of schools because they don't feel welcome. How does a parent build a relationship with the school so that they can become a part of that community?
Yeah. I would say if you feel like you can't do it by yourself, join certain advocacy groups like Navigate STL. And there's an organization called Bridge to Hope. Also, Activate STL are great parent advocacy groups, and they will teach you, sit you down, and tell you your rights and privileges as a parent of a child in certain schools. And the state will defend you on that. That is your right. There are laws set in place for parents to have access to certain things, to what's the word I'm looking for? Not just access, but to activate certain things, activate certain laws, or to cite certain laws that can benefit your children. And so these organizations, like I said, Bridge to Hope, Activate STL, and then of course Navigate STL, I'm sure has a long list of parent advocacy organizations that can help you and can equip you in order to really talk to these administrators and everything. Because I think sometimes parents talk out of their emotion and frustration, and it gets us nowhere. And I understand that because this is your child. you're hurt, you're angry, you want them to have a fulfilling life, and you feel like the system is set up for you to fail and you feel powerless. So you're lashing out. I get it. Trust me. But there are ways to do it. There are ways for us to win. And if you just sit down and understand and learn, pretty much learn the game and play the game well, you got it.
So let's remove the respectability politics from how parents approach education.
Yeah.
What makes a good and welcoming school community where a parent might not need to be trained to say all the right words to talk? Like, what should they be looking for in their teachers and in their administrators as they are trying to find a school for their child?
Yeah, you're looking, as soon as you even, let's say like you're even enrolling a child, or you're even re-enrolling a child, or you're looking for another school. If they don't have a pathway for you to even, let's say something simple as volunteering, being a part. Hey, we have an open door policy. Come here, listen to the words. Come visit us anytime you want. Come see us anytime you want. Hey, we have events this day, and this day. Can you be a part? If the language of the school is not inclusive of your participation, then dare I say, they're not inclusive of you being a stakeholder in their school culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's important for families to find teachers or administrators from similar backgrounds or communities as their students?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I would say just because we're from different neighborhoods doesn't mean that we don't have the same goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to really, again, have those sit-down conversations. Now, there are some nuances that come from certain neighborhoods that you can connect with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made a post. Only. All right. I made a couple of posts. I make posts, but I made a couple of posts one time dealing with just St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I really want a peach sure and save hot pickle from off of Olive in U City. Now, unless you had a hot pickle from Peach Sure and Save, all right, the meat is nasty, but the pickles are excellent. I mean, hot pickles are fire, all right? But you wouldn't be from that neighborhood unless you would know that, right? So it's just like those things that connect you to them. But also, again, just because we're not from certain areas does not mean that they don't have the child's best interest at heart, or they're not going to do everything they can to fight for that neighbor, for that child. So I think it's a both and sometimes, yeah.
So finding a mix of a school community that has a lot of caring adults, but adults that are also familiar with the background in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
So that they can really support the family or the kids through certain things. Like, I think about this often when I think about, 2 years ago when we had all that flooding?
Yes.
And certain neighborhoods lost a lot. Cars and basements and like full houses were flooding. And if a teacher might not have been, or somebody from the community might not have understood where this child was coming from with no school supplies on the first day because of everything getting ruined like that, things like that can be really harmful. So
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and again, like you need all of those. And here's the thing: schools are not a monolith.
Yeah.
And so not every school is going to respond in every way. Not every school is going to activate themselves in every way. But you definitely need a school that has a diversified portfolio of mindsets and backgrounds. So you definitely need that teacher from North Side, that knows the corner stores and everything. You definitely need that teacher from the county who knows who knows certain things about the city, who lives in the county, but also has a great organizational mindset. You need somebody from Illinois, all right, who can bring you some, who can come to St. Louis and then also bring you some fried rice from Young's Chop Suey, right? But but you need all of that. You need all of that in order to have a well-rounded school. Because here's the thing. Yes, I live in Northside. I may live in Northside, but guess what? I know I have cousins in North County, right? I have family members that live in Illinois. So you need all of those people. You need a metropolis within a microcosm. Yeah. Sorry, I just got real deep on it. You need a metropolis within a microcosm, so you need all of those.
A little bit of everything inside of your community.
You need a charter school Neapolitan.
And I think that's really important because that was actually going to be my next question. We always really encourage parents to do school tours.
Yeah.
To see what the people look like, to see who are the teachers and who are the parents, because if everybody in the school is the same, that might not be it might tell
Yeah.
you something about the way that they want kids to assimilate. Like
Yeah.
really looking at the culture.
Yeah.
So as we're thinking through the idea of recruiting and finding a right fit for
Yeah.
a family, what do you think are those key things that parents should consider when they're trying to find a school for their child?
Okay.
Especially in the St. Louis education landscape.
Yeah, because I would say the tours are your make or break moments, right? I have a pretty good recruitment where I'm in the 90th percentile when it comes to my tours. But I would say when what parents are looking for, they're looking for a welcoming environment. They're looking to see, you need to see yourself and see your child in these environments.
Yeah, if everybody is standing in a line still with their hands behind their back and little Jason can't sit still, that might not be the best environment.
It's not. You need to see yourself, you see the child in this environment. And then also, parents, if you're going to do a tour, bring your child. Because if that child does not want to say, Mommy, I want to go here, and they'll tell you straight up, it's like, I don't like it here. That's it right there. I mean, I wouldn't want to bring my child into somewhere that they don't feel like they want to go, because then they're not going to learn, because they didn't want to come here in the first place, right? So I would say that you need to see yourself and see your child in this space. You need to ask about curriculum, all right? They need to look at the curriculum, look at what they're learning, all right? How they learn, and most parents know how their child learns or how they receive information. Also, what are the resources that will be available to the child? Like, prime example, in my school, we have, of course, before and after care. We have before care on campus, after care through the Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club. We also have this program called Open Seat. Have you heard of that organization? Yeah, it's pretty much like almost like a counseling organization where students will get one-to-one technology. We give them one-to-one technology as well, but they sit down and talk virtually with their coach, which is their counselor, for children who may have gone through any traumatic experiences or need that extra mental health support, because mental health matters.
Those are really great resources. Like, what excites you the most about Voices Academy, especially because this is you guys' first year, right? Second year. Okay. What excites you the most?
We are, all right, I have to say this, we blackity black. We so we are so black. You knew what you was getting when you invited me.
Yes, I did know that.
Okay. Yeah, but when you walk in, and I'm a define it. The reason why I say that like that, when you walk in, you literally, to your right, you'll see portraits of, and I think some of your team members saw this too. You'll see portraits of Harry Belafonte, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Amanda Gorman, Ruby Bridges. You'll also see Muhammad Ali, Lauryn Hill, right? And you'll see all of these images of Black success when you immediately walk through the hallways. You'll see vibrant colors, right? You'll also see images of Black success all throughout the school. You'll hear the school chants, and we mimic our school chants to mimic HBCU chants, right? We remix the song. We remix Money Long Song to a school song. It's like, friend, where have you been? Like, brother to sister, friend to friend. We black.
Ooh, okay.
But and then also and then they see themselves in the curriculum, like small things that make the child see themselves in their own learning. Like in math stories, if like Johnny had 5 apples, Susie took 2. How many more does Johnny have left? Let's replace that. Not Johnny or Susie, but if Jamal had 5 apples and Keisha took 2, you hear it, like, you see that, just the small nuances. It's like, oh, I can relate to that.
And I think that's important. I laugh because it's a funny thing to say, but I think that those things matter. I think that making education approachable matters. I think putting things that children can relate to in their face really matters. And it's a joke to say that you guys have remixed that Mooney Long song into something that kids can relate to, but at the rate at which kids consume social media, bringing a viral meme into school helps you connect to school better. Because I would bet money that you have first graders singing the song anyway with inappropriate first grade lyrics.
Exactly.
And to make that into something that helps to build community amongst your students.
It was the kindergartner's graduation
important.
song.
That's so important.
Yeah.
And I think about that often because there are so many places in education where pop culture is rejected in the classroom or rejected in the school building. Pull your pants up, turn your hat the right way, don't wear this color, we don't let this hairstyle in, or we don't want kids listening to Sexy Red or whatever have you may be.
So much restriction,
So much restriction. And it's like they live in the phones and the social medias on the YouTube. And so to be able to have that incorporated and get you excited about learning, I just see that as such a positive tool.
Right. They're going to learn it. They're going to learn it. They're going to see it without their permission, whether they like it or not. Like, I think someone said that music is the only thing that can enter your body without your permission. Yeah. Right. And so, and like, they're going to hear it. They're going to absorb it. So if we can't stop it in a way, if we can't stop it, what can we do to turn it into a force for good, right? Even Money Long reposted our song. She did. She posted on the stories. It was crazy, right? And then of course, you know, when we have Fun Fridays, when the kids do their meet their enrollment goals or even their attendance targets, we have Fun Fridays and we stanky leg it out, you know. You know, it was like, oh, we like them legs stank. Like when we laughed, like the kids were really beginning. The kids start like, oh, I see some stanky legs, those stanky legs. So we literally integrate the culture in our community, and we use the culture in our community to educate the community. Absolutely. In our charter band, like we were in our charter band for our NWEA testing, I think for fall, winter, we were number one in
Explain a charter band before you start.
Okay, let's say charter band. So that means comparative to other elementary charter schools within the St. Louis City area.
Okay.
We were number one in math, number one in ELA, number 3 in math, right? And then also, when it comes to growth and achievement for NWEA, that's like the testing, like state testing, basically. We hit we're in like the 60th percentile of growth and achievement, which is really good. Considering that, you know, like the state wants you to be like at least 50%. So like we're hitting like 60%, 70%, which means that the kids are engaged. The kids want to learn. The kids even knows their own growth goals and targets. The kids are invested in data. So like you can come to our school and say, hey, what are you trying to accomplish in your testing? They're going to tell you growth and achievement. We want to hit our growth goals so we can hit our achievement goals. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Awesome. What other cool facts are there to share about Voices Academy?
I'm there.
Okay.
You get to see me. No. Other cool facts about it is, I love this one. Okay. So I am I'm a foodie.
Okay.
You know, I like good atmosphere. I like good food. And one thing that gets me about a lot of public schools is that their food is trash. I'm sorry. The food is trash. And even teachers won't even eat this, right?
Yes.
Teachers won't even eat this. We have wonderful lunches, and we have wonderful lunches through a Black catered food services.
Oh, wow.
So your children will literally have catered lunches. Like you can go, like one day, like we have mastacholi, and then the next day we'll have chicken fried rice. The next day we'll have rasta pasta. The next day we'll have chicken tikka masala. And so it's like all of these wonderful foods.
Levels of exposure. Wow.
Yes, and it's really good. And they want seconds and everything. Some of them cry because they don't get nothing. Right,
wow.
and even the teachers say, "Hey, y'all got any left?" I was like, It was really good. That's a good fun fact. Like
That's a really good
our
fun
lunches
fact.
are fire. All right.
All right. Well, what gives you hope as you think about the education landscape in the city of St. Louis?
You know what gives me hope? What gives me hope is that, and this is, and I want you to take this and think critically about it. Historically, we've always seen certain families either leave the city to go to the county in hopes of a better education for their families, or their city families, and it happens, that use family members' county addresses to take their child into those certain counties. I know that's illegal. I'm just letting you know I've seen it happen. It's not me. I have no kids, so don't come after me. But what is encouraging is that I'm seeing a lot of families turn their faces back to the city and see like, hey, there are better options here in the city of St. Louis, and we want to go. We want what's in the city, and I found that to be encouraging because for a long time, city schools have had such a bad rep, right? But now I see the tide turning for the better, to the point to where not only city families are excited, but there are people outside the city that wants to be invested in what the city schools are doing. So I find that to be very encouraging.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Steward. How do people find you? How do people find Voices Academy?
Yeah. So you can follow me on all my socials, right? And no, you can follow St. Louis Voices Academy, Instagram at STL Voices. Again, Instagram at STL Voices. And then on Facebook, St. Louis, st.Louis, St. Louis Voices Academy of Media Arts on Facebook. You can like it, follow us on Instagram. And of course, you can go to our website, www.stlouisvoicesacademy.org.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for being here today, Steward. Have a great rest of your day.